Imelda, maybe we can start with you. I mean, I know Rihanna and myself introduced. Maybe you can tell us about yourself and what you do.
Okay, I am Ibra. Very good to meet you. At least I've interacted with Yancha. I think I'm interacting with you for the first time. My name is Imelda Eunice Akurut. I work with CordAid here in Uganda, and I basically support the RBF, the RBF aspect of the Heroes program, still under CordAid. Basically, that sums it up.
Sure. Just for my benefit, I think Yancha, I guess, knows you more than me. But just for my benefit, can you tell me a little bit more about like what you do and what your background is, just for me to help appreciate a bit more, kind of where you're coming from, so to speak.
Okay, so I basically oversee the results-based financing. At least you have an idea about results-based financing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I basically oversee the results-based financing in about six, now 7 districts. So what we basically do is we contract the districts and the different health facilities to offer services. Okay, these facilities are already offering these services, but we incentivize them to ensure both quality, but also more access of these services for young people and also for women. So we incentivize them per client that they see. We give them a bonus, financial motivation on each client that they see on those particular indicators that we incentivize. So basically, I support with contracting and selection of the facilities and the districts, but also eventually when they are contracted, we just do a lot of backstopping on how they are doing with the different indicators that we incentivize, but also we verify that the numbers they are reporting are actually true and they are not exaggerated, but also we do a lot of verification to assess the quality of the service that they offer, and also to make sure that they are implementing their performance improvement plans per quarter. So we do the same for the districts, just check in with the district team to ensure that they are providing leadership and governance and all those overseeing aspects, really. Financial management, support, supervision support to the health facilities. Yeah, but once in a while we also chip in a little bit of mentorship and coaching here and there where we find probably there are some skills lacking. Yeah, basically that. So after the verification, for the clients that meet the criteria, you do the payments, and the cycle continues. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like quite a broad scope of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of what you just described. Okay. Yansha, do you want to ask anything specifically, Imelda, at this point?
Yeah, I think because I know, Imelda, we've been together in the field, and you took us to some of the facilities to see what you actually do on the ground when you meet with the health workers, which register HMIS books do you use, what do you count, and how? Because you gave us some, we tried it ourselves, and it was very, let's say, complex in a way, because you have to look at different variables and criteria at one time, and then we're only human, so we made a lot of mistakes. And that was just an example, but you do it, I'm not sure if on monthly or quarterly basis. So maybe you can just describe more in detail, what do you do yourself when you go to visit those facilities or districts, and maybe even which indicators are you looking at and why. but I know that there are some challenges. I know that it's lengthy, it's costly as well, the verification, because you have to do it manually. So what are the bottlenecks that you think are standing in the way to achieve what you're trying to achieve in CordAid?
No, it's yes, the verification process, like your experience, is very hectic and also very costly because we have to move through all the districts, but also we have to to sustain ourselves there, basically. So it's and sometimes we have to involve the district people, and then we have to also, okay, it's generally expensive, but also it's very time consuming. It takes us like one entire month to finish verification for all the districts. So eventually, for example, facilities make their reports by the 5th of the month. So it takes us from the 5th literally to the end of the month to verify all the districts. So that means there is that extra delay in processing of the subsidies. And of course, you know, if we can't, one of the core ideas behind RBF is that 70% of the money that facilities receive is reinvested in the facility so that they are able to implement their improvement plans. So for example, if they wanted to do outreaches, maybe to boost a certain indicator, when the money comes in time, they're able to implement that in the quarter for which they want to do that, to have the improvement or to realize the improvements. So sometimes, because the verification process may take about 3 weeks or even more, there is going to be a certain slight delay. And I think that is one of the challenges that, not even I think, that is one of the challenges that the Chief, the Ministry of Health, RBF equally faced. You'd find that facilities have not received their money for over 3 quarters. So if the money is not coming in, the facilities can't improve because it's results-based financing. So ideally, when someone gives you the output, you should be able to pay them so that they can improve. I mean, invest it and improve even more. But at least we try to make sure that we pay within 1 month. So as soon as we finish, and the cause of the delay is majorly the verification process, because it takes about 3 weeks. So we can only pay after the verification process. So we pay in about 1 month, but still that is a relatively long period. Okay, it's much it's much shorter when you compare it to the government, but still it's relatively a long period, and it's very tiring. It's just that the team that supports with the verification now is more they understand the indicators and the criteria really well, so they're able to do the work much faster. So we still try to finish, we try to work within the time and finish much faster, but it is very tiring, just like Yancha put it, because you have to manually look at the indicator and also look at the criteria, the quality criteria that is attached to that indicator. So for example, if we are looking at NC1, beyond just looking out for the client's received service, we also need to check if they receive folic, did they receive all the tests that they were supposed to get, did they receive iron, did they receive IPT. So you literally also have to assess what the client received. So yeah, it can be quite a long process. But beyond just looking in the register, you also have to now make sure that the numbers in the register tally with what is in the HMIS 105 report and tallies with what is in the DHIS2 system. So basically, after confirming the numbers in the register, then we also have to look at their reports that were submitted that month to make sure that, just to ascertain that what they actually have in the register is what is reported, because data consistency is one of the things that we look out for in RBF. So yeah, it can be a lot of paperwork. And of course, sometimes you count and you find out, okay, what you have verified is totally different from what is reported in the HMIS 105. And then you have to probably recount with more people just to make sure that it's not you who is making the mistake. So yeah, there can be, it can be a headache.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but we
we were in the field thanks to you, and I remember that we were holding one registration book. I think it was antenatal, and it was 3 people counting the exact same thing, so that we don't make any mistake and we don't miss something out. So I can only imagine how it must be if you do this on regular basis in so many facilities, because you said you're in 7 districts in Uganda now, or 8, something like that,
we
right?
are in, yeah, about 7.
Yeah, and also the first of all the quality of the data, because I've noticed that the health workers, they do a lot of mistakes, which is okay. It's a paper
Yeah.
register, so, and it's a lot of administrative heavy work. But then checking the consistency that the reports, it's not whatever is written in the report is not what is actually in the register. So trying to make sense which of the information is correct, which not, and yeah, I can imagine they must be quite tiring to go through it.
Yeah, and health workers, the problem is you find that the midwife who is doing, for example, antenatal, is not the one who is going to make the HMIS 105 report. So probably the data person in the facility will compile the 105 report, and then you find a lot of data errors. For example, instead of writing, say, 8, the person can write 3. Like, okay, the person is trying to write a 3, but that 3 looks like a 8. So the person extracting the data just puts 8 because they can't see clearly. And then, of course, also because in most times the person making the HMIS 105 report is not very technical on the different indicator definitions that we look at. So you find a lot of data inconsistencies. And then sometimes we have to make them redo the report and go and make the changes in DHIS2 system, because we do not want to have that variance. So yeah, it can be quite a long process.
It sounds like a lot of challenges, Imelda. I just would like to just understand a little bit more about these challenges, so that's okay. You said you work in 7 districts. So how many facilities does it cover, or you cover, your team?
So currently we are covering 24.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be 18, but now we've scaled up a little. We've added another district. So now we have 24 facilities. And then let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 district health teams. And then and that is not all. We also have to verify the CBOs, because we have the community-based organizations that help with the quality assessments. So we also have to verify their questionnaires. There are a lot of components that add up to what the facility eventually scores. Yeah, so we have 24 facilities currently, and 6 district health offices. So 6 districts.
Mm.
Yeah.
And do you go to all 24 facilities yourself?
In a month, yes, we have to go to all of them in a month, because we do monthly
As a team,
verification. Yeah? We are a team of we are a very small team. We are a team of 3.
Exactly. I wanted to say that
Actually,
you're
2.
only like 3 people, yeah, or 2. But also those districts, they're like you go to Kalangala, right?
Yeah, we go to Kalangala.
So it's islands. It must be hectic to even get there. You have to take a boat, or how do you get there?
Yeah.
So then you have to organize, right? If you have to do this every single month, it must be hectic to organize your schedule and transport and everything.
Yeah, and selection of the districts was also based on how the burden in the district. So these districts already have challenges. Some of them are mountainous, so the facilities are really inaccessible. They have this very hilly terrain, especially about Bukokwenya. And then, of course, there is Kalangala and Namaiko, which have the islands. So some of the facilities are across another island. So you have to get a boat to go to that island. I think the longest, the farthest island is about 1 hour, or not on a speedboat, 1 hour on a normal boat. Yeah, about 1 hour on a boat to our farthest island facility. Yeah.
So, so I'm just curious. So you cover 24 facilities, and you said it takes about a month to do the paperwork.
It takes us a month to go to all these facilities. It takes us about 4 weeks.
It's like almost like
yeah, it takes a month to do verification, but how about the payments? Do you have to take the payments back to the facilities as well, or you send it to a bank account, or how does that work?
No, after we do the verifications, after verification we get their invoices. So the payments are made direct to their bank accounts. The payment process, our payment process is really swift at CordAid. So the delay is mostly around verification, but as soon as we have their invoices ready, we can make the payment in about a week, and they have the money in their accounts. Yeah, so the biggest challenge is really around verification. Of course, the invoices as well, we pick them manually, but we usually do that as we do verification. After verification, then we have the district review the verified numbers and sign off, and then they invoice. Yeah. So once we have that, our accounts team supports to do the payments.
It sounds like the big part of your work, Imelda, is do the verification itself.
Yeah, that's the biggest part of the work.
So when you say like you have 24 facilities and you have a month to do them all, so does it mean you spend about a day in each facility?
Yeah, it can take us sometimes we try to cover at least 2 facilities in a day, because remember that there is Monday to Friday, but we have to also travel back. We don't work weekends. And so we go to a district for a week, or maybe about 3-4 days, about 3 days, depending on the district. Really, there are districts whose facilities are very, very far, so it takes us almost like 4 hours to get to a facility. So we try to do at least 2 facilities in a day if we are going to be able to finish within that time frame, because at least if we try to cover, when we cover 2 facilities in a day, then we have some bit of travel, and we also have to have a feedback meeting with the district. Then I told you the quantity verification is just part of the verification process. It's not the entire verification process. We also have to verify the district, and then we have to verify the CBO. Yeah, so we try to at least cover 2 facilities in a day. Of course, for the islands, we can only cover 1 facility in a day, because usually by around 2-3 the water is very rough, so you don't want to be in the water around that time. So we go early, do the return. So it can take us about a day to do 2 facilities in a good district. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 facilities in a day. And I mean, you mentioned, some of the challenges you face, like the timing and the costliness, and you describe it as a hectic. Can you tell me more about like your experience of going to the facilities, what you do, and what kind of challenges you experience in doing your verification job?
Well, the biggest is really accessibility of the facilities. And again, that was really our target when we were selecting these facilities to support, because these were already challenged facilities. They are already inaccessible facilities. So the biggest challenge is accessing them. You find the facility is way the other side of the hill, and the road is very, very, very bad. I need to take you there, Yancha, sometime. When are you coming to Uganda? I take you to one of them. Yeah, so
Yeah, no, I'd love to.
the yeah, the terrain is very bad, especially the other side of Kwen and Bukwa. So the biggest challenge is accessing the facilities. The roads are terrible, and of course they are really, really far. And then for the islands is accessing them still. We sometimes there are months when the water is very rough, and you really don't want to move on water around that time, but still verification has to happen. So somehow we see how to work around it. Then of course the other challenges in the verification process itself, the data inconsistencies can be a headache, because sometimes you can't trace where is the variance coming from, and then you have to take almost 30 minutes just going back and forth on one indicator to make sure that to identify where the error is coming from and have it corrected. So yeah, that is also one of the other challenges, and it's expensive and tiring because we have to move from district to district to district. So it can be very tiring. A lot of paperwork. Sometimes you go to the facility and they don't have a register. So if they don't have a register and they've improvised, then it's also very difficult for you to track some of the verification. It's very difficult for you to verify against some of the criteria, because if they've improvised, they will not be able to capture all the data. So sometimes the registers go out of stock, and the facility doesn't have a register to capture the clients. So now when they sometimes they improvise in another register, so the data can be very disorganized. Yeah, there are really those there are those challenges, yeah. But we try to maneuver through. We try to deal with them.
Yeah. But can you tell me a bit more about, these challenges that you experience in the facilities? Like, for example, you described that maybe some of the registers are missing or they're improvising. What kind of headaches does it create for you?
Yeah, for example, if they don't have an antenatal register, the register is big. So if they don't have an antenatal register and they are, say, improvising with an outpatient register, you'll find that the indicators that are tracked under outpatient are not
Hello?
to try and capture some aspects of the register, but all the same, it messes up the data because they can't capture everything that we would like to be captured in the NC register. It's even worse when they improvise with a counter book and they have to write. So yeah, one of the things is really the registers going out of stock sometimes. But again, I think the biggest challenge is sometimes is the biggest challenge actually is also the data inconsistencies. The data just doesn't tally sometimes. Yeah. So
when you say data inconsistency, like, does it mean
what
they?
The numbers they have in the register? Ideally what's supposed to happen is the register is the primary tool. So when a client walks into the facility, they are entered into the register book, and through the register book, they can capture all the services that are offered to this client. So at the end of the month, they are supposed to make a monthly report, which is the HMIS 105 report. So that report is basically a summary of what is in the register. But now, if the register has not been filled well, or is incomplete, or if the person who is entering the data is not very technical, then the numbers they are going to extract from the register will not tally with what they report in the HMIS 105 report. And yet the HMIS 105 report is what is fed in the DHIS2 system. We have the DHIS2 system is like a system which captures all data across the country, actually manages data across the country. So if data is entered into the DHIS2 system, there is that inconsistency. What they are really doing is very different from what they are reporting. So now you do not know what are you going to, because you want to see some bit of improvement. Sometimes you can find that probably they have offered about, say, 60 family planning contraceptive methods, and they have reported, say, 23 because the person didn't count well. And that is a very big data inconsistency. So we have to go back, recount with them, then again, correct the HMIS 105 report, and then ask the district biostatistician to correct that in the system. So yeah, there's that challenge of ensuring that the data in the register is actually tallying with what they are reporting, because the midwife is responsible for filling, say, the maternity register. But when it comes to filling the HMIS 105 report, it may be filled by, say, the data person, the data clerk. And the data clerk may not be as technical as the midwife to know that, okay, these are the numbers who have received ANC in first trimester. So it can cause those reporting errors. Although, of course, like I said, we try to mentor them really and support them. But, well, human, sometimes we make mistakes. Yeah.
So what is the problem with the data inconsistency? I mean, if, say, like you described, if they dispensed 60 contraceptives, but they wrote it down 20, what's the problem with that? Like, what are the consequences of this?
As RBF, we don't pay for the entire indicator, because, like I said, RBF, one of the things RBF wants to achieve is quality data. So there are repercussions for inconsistent data. Actually, any errors above 5% disqualifies the entire indicator. And then if we, of course, when you keep disqualifying the indicator and the health workers are really working hard, it may bring in a little bit of demotivation, because they've put in a lot of effort, and then maybe the person reporting makes a mistake, and then the data error is probably above 5%, and then we are forced to disqualify it, because that speaks to some bit of poor data quality. So sometimes, of course, when we disqualify them, then they pay more attention and improve. But there are sometimes when it's really a genuine mistake. Probably the midwife wrote a 3, but the 3 looked like an 8. And then the person who is making the final report writes an 8 instead. And it becomes a data error still, but really an unintentional data error, and we disqualify it. So yeah, there is that's dilemma.
And do you often get this problem where you think you verified everything correctly, and then actually health workers and challenge, saying no, that's not what we've done more than this?
Yeah, there are times, of course, at the end of the month, the health workers declare. So the health worker will declare that for this month, I have seen 60 clients. I have seen maybe 60 clients for antenatal care. I've seen maybe 20 for post-abortion care, or like that. So they declare the numbers they have seen. So for us, what we come to do is verify the actual against what has been declared. So sometimes they declare 60, and when we verify in the register, probably it's less than 60. And again, if the error is more than 5%, we disqualify the entire indicator. So even what they worked for, we don't pay.
Wow.
So it has repercussions on that.
So you kind of penalize them.
Yeah, we penalize them. Because, yeah, we penalize them actually.
So is that a way of encouraging them to pay more attention, better attention
More
to
attention
getting
to
the data right.
Yeah, it's a way of getting them to pay attention to the data. But like I said, really, sometimes you see it is an unintentional mistake, maybe in handwriting or something. And yeah, we still penalize them so that next time they pay more attention to the numbers that,
and does it often
that
happen?
they are reporting.
Is it often the
Yeah,
discrepancy
it
of
does
5%?
happen. Yeah,
Like
it
every month?
happens. At least every month we disqualify some facilities. Actually, I think for June, there is a facility we disqualified the entire month.
So is it just like for one indicator, if there's a 5% discrepancy, and then you disqualify everything?
That
for the
indicator.
facility?
No. We disqualify
just the
that
one indicator.
Yes.
Just one indicator.
But now there is a facility, I think they got a new health worker who was not well aware of the criteria. So there was like a lot of discrepancy in almost all the indicators. So they didn't receive money for that month. So yeah, those data discrepancies, they attract some bit of penalty to the facility, and of course that can demotivate the health workers a little, but also motivate them to really improve their data quality. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that happens in this whole process that demotivates the health workers?
Apart from disqualifying, their numbers, let me see. I think it's mostly disqualifying their numbers. The rest are really motivating. RBF is supposed to motivate the health workers because they get an incentive, and some of that goes to their bonuses, their motivation package. Yeah, so that is like the biggest dreaded thing for the indicator to be disqualified because of a small error. So it's one of them, the only issues really.
And
yeah.
But you also earlier mentioned that the payment reaches the health workers quite late, like do you say 3 months after, or?
No, actually for us we pay within a month, but I was giving you an example of, because the Ministry of Health was also implementing RBF, and the Ministry of Health would take almost 3 quarters, that is about 9 months to pay.
9 months?
Yes.
9 months?
Yes. It would take almost 9 months to pay for. So there was that accumulation of unpaid quotas. But that is, of course, because they were really looking at it. It was rolled up, across the country, and these delays in the paperwork and the processes. So we try to be as swift as possible, but still our biggest delay comes from verification. So for us, we pay within a month because verification takes about 3 weeks, and then we use the extra 1 week to do the payments. So because there is another RBF scheme which is worse than us, the 1 month doesn't look like very long. Actually, the 1 month looks like, oh, you guys pay really fast, because they are comparing us to the Ministry of Health RBF, which takes way much longer. But of course, that means that the facility has lost about 1 month of implementing their business plan, because we pay at the end of the quarter. So if, for example, the quarter has ended September, that means the facility is going to receive their money in November, for example, because we are using the entire October to do the verification processes. So that also means that for most of November, they are not able to invest that money back to their business plans for that November. So they have to have catch-up plans to make sure that the remaining 2 months, when the money comes, they really accelerate to meet up to their target for that quarter.
So from what I understood, apart from your team, there are also other teams or organizations that do similar work, and it takes them a lot longer to do the work.
It was mainly Ministry of Health, but that project came to an end actually. It came to an end, so now it's just us.
So does mean CordAid is the only one who runs RBF at the moment?
There may be other partners in other parts of the country, but for this particular region where we are implementing, I think it's just us. Of course, there are other people who do RBF for community services. There are other people who do RBF for RBF maybe through the voucher scheme. So yeah, there are still other partners who do some aspects of results-based financing, but the biggest partner then was Ministry of Health through World Bank.
Okay. And I mean, what else do you find frustrating about your job?
The too much travel, mostly.
Too much trouble?
Yeah, I travel the entire month because I move from district to district the entire month, which is tiring.
And I mean, can I just give you like a hypothetical? Just imagine, imagine you you had the power just to change, right? What would you wish to be different about this whole experience of doing RBF work?
You see, you from Shifo, so you're responsible for SPT. SPT had a lot of potential to actually limit the very
Hello?
would totally
Imelda,
totally.
Sorry, I just lost you for a little bit. Just when you started talking about SPT, can you start again? I couldn't hear anything.
Okay, I was saying SPT has a lot of potential to actually take away all our problems. Yeah, so it has a lot of potential to solve most of our challenges, because then SPT, a fully functional SPT, would eliminate the verification processes, because the criteria is already embedded in the system, so we don't need to go and manually verify. But also because the SPT form, the primary data collection tool, is also what is scanned to feed into the HMIS report and also the DHIS tool. So it would totally eliminate the inconsistencies between the primary registers and then the HMIS 105 report. So the SPT solution would really address most of the challenges. The only problem is it has, I think, also got a hiccup in fully picking up, let me say. So we are still caught up there. Whereas I see a lot of potential. It would really solve most of our challenges. And when you add the app, the facilities will be able to even utilize their data and develop their own improvement plans. So we wouldn't have to guide them in developing improvement plans, because the app already gives a summary of what you are doing right, what you are doing wrong, what is causing the display, the invalids. And so there are those details in the app that would also really contribute to the performance improvement plans for the facilities. But I think the challenge is still the SPT also has its own bottlenecks that still need to be addressed for it to fully provide the solution that it should provide. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. Imelda, it's been really nice learning about your experience and hearing about your perspective of doing RBF work and working with the SPT. I felt I learned quite a lot from you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I have a lot of hope in SPT actually.
So you have what?
I have a lot of hope. Like I see a lot of potential in the SPT solution. So I'm really hoping that it can kick off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that it can fully kick off. And
I think that's exactly what the team is trying to do as well. I think that they're trying to make the SPT work in the way that it can really address a lot of these headaches, a lot of these bottlenecks. I think this is kind of the real concern of the team, and that they're trying to work hard to make it work.
That's really good to know.
And I'm not just saying nice words. I think this is my real impression of what the team is really concerned about, trying to make it work.
Yeah, I think they are trying to make it work because we've given feedback that they promise they're working on it. Yeah,
okay.
We've had quite a number of feedback sessions, and I think it's been around the same discussion that we've had today.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ibrat. Is that
Yeah.
how
Thank
they
you,
pronounce
Imelda.
your name?
Yes.
Okay, have a good day.
That's good. Yeah. You too. Have a good weekend as well. Bye, Imelda.
Okay. Bye.
Nice speaking with you.
Sure. You too.